This is the world's most advanced processor. In entertainment, its rendering speeds render other processors obsolete. It drives the future of autonomous driving, powers cloud services for billions, helps change the course of climate change, connects communities of gamers anytime, anywhere, and uses AI to accelerate disease detection and cures. We make the world's most advanced processors, but only with your vision can we advance the world. AMD, together we advance.
Hi everybody, how are you? How's your there you go. So how's your MIGS so far? Let's give an applause for how well your MIGS is going. Thank you all for being here today. So two friends of mine, Marco Nalli, country manager for AMD. So he's the gear guy you want to go harass after the, you'll be in the lobby by the coffee machines. Free samples, exactly. Free thread rippers all around.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And Sean Jalbert, who's the director of production manager at Spearhead Games here in Montreal. So guys, thank you for joining us today. So the topic we are addressing today has to do with the creative process and tech innovation. So what we want to discuss is who is influencing who. So is it creativity? Are the creators the ones that are helping or pushing the envelope on the tech innovation side, or is tech innovation influencing the creative process? Right. So that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we do that, I'd like my esteemed colleagues, to introduce themselves.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Appreciate it. It's great to be here. This is my first MEGAMIGS show. It's been a lot of fun, and it's really good to kind of get down with the the students, the creative directors, the people that are doing all the groundwork. So this is really important to AMD, and this is kind of what's leading the charge in terms of our future product development. So glad to be here.
I guess same for me too. It's really cool to be here. This is my first MIGS event as well. Yeah, it's great. I've seen a lot of creative things, a lot of different companies that I haven't really heard of either, and I'm seeing a lot of really cool projects. I played a couple games too. It's very interesting, a lot of fun to be here. So yeah, I'm the production manager at Spearhead in Montreal. I focus mostly on the production side when it comes to the art and design for the team. So yeah, schedules and planning and all of that goes through me. So I kind of hear a little bit of the ins and outs and the frustrations of sometimes of what the team needs and what they want to get things done. So yeah.
And Sean, you recently celebrated a milestone at Spearhead, right? So you've been there for just a little over a year now.
Yeah, I just hit a year, and the company itself actually just celebrated their 10-year anniversary.
Congratulations!
Yeah.
That's worth an applause right there.
Thank you.
Thank you. So perhaps we can begin with you, Sean, on this one. So what are some of the key roadblocks that you hear from your team, hopefully not on a regular basis, because that means we're solving the problems, right? But what are some of the key roadblocks from a tech perspective that your team comes back to you with and say, I wish we could do this?
I guess when I first started, it was more of the availability when it came to certain PC parts. I mean, there was that drought, right?
Yes.
Where things were just either unavailable or just too expensive and stuff like that, and we were very limited into getting the stuff that we wanted. As months came by, post-COVID era type of thing, things started to become more and more available. We started upgrading our artists' machines, our engineers, our servers too. We have maybe like 5 or 6 of them that are constantly running type of thing. So yeah, at first it was a lot of the availability of when things were coming to the market. We have a very diverse team in terms of specifications of stuff that they use.
Yeah.
So we're able to measure and see how things are performing on different levels when it comes to graphics, when it comes to processor rates and stuff like that. But yeah, I think that would be the main one. Would be more of the availability of things.
So yeah, distribution. I think we've all felt the pain. It's not even just in this space. I mean, it's even produce today, right? We're having issues. Hopefully, things are slowly getting back on track. That's great. Specifically to let's say performance, right? So I am, and I'm an artist. I'm designing something new, and I'm sitting on my workstation and. I'm saying, wow, if only I could do this. What are some of the, from a performance perspective on the equipment, what are some of the hindrances that the team says, man, I wish I could render faster, or I wish I could do this, or whatever?
Quite literally that, speed.
Really?
Yeah.
It's always speed, right?
It's always speed, because when we're looking at a creative process, we always start at the fundamentals, pen and paper, right? Artists, they're always going to start from what they know, what they're comfortable with. So starting from a pen and paper perspective, that's usually where things begin, especially when it comes to, like, let's say, level design, right? Typically someone is going to go, they're going to draw it out, they're going to have some sort of roadmap in their head, and then to translate that into the software that they're going to be using, they want that to be efficient. They don't want to have to wait for their engine to load. Currently we use Unreal. So sometimes, depending on how many things are being populated in the scene, it takes a very long time to load. So yeah, that's typically the qualm, I guess.
So where bigger is not necessarily better, faster is always better.
Yeah, speed, because everyone kind of has their own way of working. There's not one artist that works the same. There is obviously a certain pipeline, a workflow that we follow, but the way that we achieve the results that we want to is very different from each individual. There's a different review process for everything.
Okay, yeah.
And when it comes to creativity, there's more than one iteration. So if you have to wait on getting the iterations because of a tool rather than the actual person creating that thing, that's usually where the frustration comes from.
As a person who manages production and delivery, that's...
Yep.
Marco, over to you. So we're talking about performance, right? So AMD has evolved like crazy recently, and so everything, you guys are in the AI space, and you're obviously very well known in gaming space and so on and so forth. So from a tech innovation perspective, so again, how are you guys, what is it that AMD is doing? How are you prioritizing? You clearly have a roadmap of nice to haves, need to haves, and so on. How are you guys prioritizing that? Because you guys are a global company, but how do you take care of studios like Spearhead, or any end user who's like, man, if only we could do this, we could do our job quicker, better, more efficiently. How are you guys making those decisions?
Yeah, I think the voice of the customer, and it's really the creative class that's driving our technology, right? It's the dreamers, it's the the outreach and thinking about doing some pretty crazy things, and I mean you can't achieve those without technology. So it forces us to really innovate, and that's kind of what AMD did when we came back into the market in 2017. Is that we restructured the architecture, and again, a lot of that was creative thinking, right? It's engineers that have the forethought to say, hey, is this possible? And then putting it to paper. It's similar process, right, in terms of developing technology, and a lot of that is voice of customer, right? So addressing, looking at our verticals, looking at who our audience is, and obviously creative studios, we're doing a lot in media and entertainment, we're doing a lot of gaming and content production, and taking that voice and saying, hey, we want to do things quicker, right? So we created 7 nanometer technology, now 5 nanometer technology, and soon to be going into 3 nanometer technology. So focusing on that research and development is creating the Threadripper that allows you to do things in half the time that you were able to do 2 years ago. And then we continue to push those barriers, and that same technology and architecture spills into our GPUs, our servers, our EPYC servers, as well as the Radeon or the Ryzen products in terms of CPUs and obviously the Threadrippers. But it's really that thinking, right? So Elon Musk is thinking to go to Mars. How do we get to Mars, right? I mean, if we can maintain that same technology path, it would take us another 20, 30 years to even think about doing that. But AMD is really pushing that barrier. We're going to be releasing 96 core processors in the next couple of months, right? So again, we're going to be able to help Sean out here, where something that maybe would take 5 hours to render, we can do it in an hour now, right? And COVID drove that. Everybody was pushed home.
Yep.
Everybody's gaming. Everybody's on Netflix. We power Xbox. We power PlayStation. We power the Teslas. So again, it's we think about the content, the Netflixes of the world, the gamers, and all of a sudden we have to get these games out. We have a static audience that's stuck at home that wants wants new innovative content, new creative content. So that really kind of boosted our business because we gave them the technology now to get that product out quicker. And now it's a human resources issue, right? How do we get the people to actually start putting that pen to paper? So,
this is where the pandemic kind of helped innovation, right? We had more time to pause, think about where we need to be, and we were able to as people just focus on where we need to go. So kind of like out of the ashes the threadripper rises, right? So
that's our next ad.
yeah, there you go. Exactly. So you mentioned voice of the customer. As a marketer, that is very important to people like myself, and it should be important to all companies for that matter, but that's a whole other panel. So we were talking off camera earlier how you guys have built out a core team now specifically dedicated to the game development. So to talk to us a little bit more about what you guys are doing there.
Yeah, so it's obviously a critical vertical, and it helps with our development of product, right? I mean, the GPU space. I mean, it's our core. It's right down to the gamer, the creative studios, and when AMD acquired ATI back in 2009, ATI was a market leader in video cards, and that's where we saw that vision of taking that technology and building our APUs, so that's mixing the GPU with the processors. And then again, as the market has taken off, we've now built a team around it. So we have teams that are dedicated to work with the studio specifically at a real floor level integration. Whereas again, we're having those face-to-face conversations. What are our pain points? Yeah. And those people out there are taking those pain points right back to our engineers, saying we need to optimize this. We need to optimize this. And then the other thing is, open compute and just ease of use and consistency in the software. So AMD's taken a standpoint is to really not focus on proprietary type of software. So we want to do a lot more open source, right? So that if you're taking that machine, you're taking this machine, is that it's going to make your life a little easier in terms of integration of that software. So again, we want to embrace the community, and we definitely want that to have that touch point at a person-to-person level.
That's amazing. We have a few minutes left, and I want to thank you both. I wanted to maybe send out an opportunity for some of the audience to ask a question or two. And I believe you had a question for us earlier. Do you want to come up and ask us a question? You can come up here.
Put you on the spot.
Yeah, we'll put you on the spot. Vieta.
Michael.
There you go. Here. Go ahead, answer. Have a seat. Have a seat. There you go. Take the microphone. It's an interactive show. Go for it.
I'm officially part of the panel now.
That's right.
It's a.
Start with your name.
My name's Jessie. I'm a student in 3D animation, image synthesis, over in Malta.
Nice.
And as students, we're very limited by the software that we use and all of that. So how do we overcome those limitations? And is there going to be an increase in the price or lowering the price of all those stuff?
Yeah, and I think that's a great question. And I sit on an advisory board at one of the universities in Toronto, and I think that's part of our reach. Again, we talk about special interest groups at our company, is that we do have university outreach and corporate outreach where we work very closely with various schools. So the hope is to address all those issues and kind of help sponsor and support, whether it's through machines or helping to fund the softwares and kind of help create this equity play in terms of so that everyone has the ability to play at a level playing field. And I think that's going to help Sean out.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be the future graduate, and we want to make sure that you're using the latest and greatest in technology.
Yeah, it helping out smaller studios, people who are starting out, don't necessarily have the funding.
Yeah.
We're very grateful for it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was well done. Let's give Jesse a applause. Why not? What?
Hi.
You are?
I'm Dorian.
Dorian, nice to meet you.
I'm just a back-end engineer working for Ludia.
Just a back-end engineer.
Yeah.
working for Ludia.
I'm just standing there randomly, I guess is the point, because I don't really have to do anything directly to those topics. I'm sorry.
See, there you
Um,
go.
Alright, so I was just wondering, you touched on supply and distribution earlier, and I haven't really followed that stuff too much, but I was wondering how much of that was really due to COVID versus the crypto stuff, and yeah, I was just wondering if you could talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I would yeah,
Closer.
that's a great question. I mean, we get it all the time, and AMD always gets blamed because of supply issues. But I mean, it was real. I mean, when COVID first hit, I mean, it was a reality. I mean, we went from 100 to 0 in 2 seconds. It was shut down. Plants were shut down, and that created a chain effect, right? So when we had supply issues on our processors. We needed to get lines back up. People were sick. People were in quarantine. So how do you ramp those systems up? And then we reached the point where we're able to get production, but now it's a component of that processor. So now it's not the silica, it's the substrate. So it's where the chip resides, and it could be a capacitive. So there's so many micro things in part of that ecosystem that may stall the development of those processors. But we're running at 100% now. We're pretty much got everybody lined up. We work with TSMC, who's our fabricator, and so we're able to help them tool and rebuild. And they're building a new plant in the U.S. as well. So we're going to definitely get back up. And crypto did hurt us. Crypto did. I wouldn't say it hurt us. I mean, we sold out of all of our graphics cards. But I mean, there was definitely a glut in terms of people were hoarding, those graphic cards, and you try to control the market, but it's difficult to kind of trying to understand who's buying what. But yeah, we're slowly kind of getting back up to speed, and I think we'll be able to appease some of those supply issues.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to have to wrap this up, Howard. So I just want to first, Marco, thank you. Great answers. Thank you very much
Yeah,
for
thanks for
being
having
here. Sean, thank you so much for being here. One quick thing, and with you, what can you tell us? Anything you're working on? Anything something exciting in the pipeline right now?
Exciting, yes.
Yes.
Can I talk about it? No.
I tried, guys. I tried.
Unfortunately, not.
Thank you very much for coming out and talking to us today.
Thanks for having
guys.
us.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you.